That's right, folks. Nick McVicker, Niko Giantsopoulos, back together again. It's been way too long, but we are here. Niko, dude, how are you doing, man?
Nick, how the hell are you? Good to hear from you. I was waiting for what did you normally say in the morning? You know, when we used to do it on TSN. How'd you used to open it up?
Another week, another episode of Footy First, but it's not another week. It's been about like 30 weeks or so since we've last spoken on air. So I didn't want to say another week because it just hasn't been that way. Plus, this is kind of just like a reunion. We're just getting back together, just kind of chatting about where we've been over the last little bit because it's been way too long. Let's be honest here. You and me have kind of gone back and forth talking, trying to get things to work. Never were able to, and then we're like, you know what? We're just doing this. We're gonna get together. We're gonna talk a little footy, a little bit about our lives, and just kind of see how things go. And who knows? Maybe at the end we'll talk about doing something else. But right now, I just want to know how you're doing, dude. It's been way too long.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been good with breakups, so I always feel like I end up crawling back, and this kind of feels a little bit like that. So just trying to see if I could rekindle the flame with you and footy first. So that's what this is kind of all about.
Yeah, and I mean, like honestly, it was never really a breakup. Like I was part of the Bell Media
Oh,
cuts, right? I'll go
oh,
into that.
it wasn't mutual. So you're saying this breakup wasn't mutual?
Well, I'll go into it. Hey, like I was part of the Bell Media cuts last summer, right? And unfortunately, when that happened, we kind of lost our platform at the moment, and we were trying to figure out ways to bring this back. And it was tough because you were in the middle of a season, so trying to figure things out then was never going to be an easy task. Not to mention, I was now trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I was moving, I was dealing with a lot. Like there was a lot going on at the time, so we kind of put it on hiatus. We kind of kept the conversation going off air, trying to keep things going. And I guess now we're back, right, to have a little bit of a conversation at least.
Yeah, definitely. And how was that? I mean, I'd love to kind of get into it as much as you want. What was like? Was it a shock when the bell cuts came about? Could you see it coming?
Um, no, I don't think you ever see that kind of thing coming, right? Like uh, let's put it this way: I was scheduled to work that afternoon on something else. The next day, I was supposed to work like an Argos preseason game. Like it was one of those like out of the blue. I had my schedule for the Argos games for the entire season. I knew I was working every single home Argos game and the two games in Hamilton, right? Like it wasn't like
Mhm.
it was planned. And I had just talked to both of my bosses the night before about like what we were doing in the summer and what the next kind of steps were. So for me, no, it was completely out of blue. I was totally taken aback and like no hard feelings or anything. I understand what happened. It was unfortunate. I felt really bad because I loved what I was doing. I still love talking on air, right? This is why we're doing this episode right now. I genuinely was shocked at the time that it happened.
And how many layoffs were there, like nationwide?
Ooh, I think it was like
It's not like you were the
1,300.
only one.
Yeah, it was like 1,300, I'm pretty sure, which is just a
Crazy.
crazy number. And they like closed down 9 radio stations, sold off another like 16. And like their Bell's not the only one doing it. Rogers is doing it too. So it's not like it's just one company. It's just unfortunate. It just happened, right? It is what
Mhm.
it is. I can't take the blame. I can't deal with anything. I just move on. We move on and we keep going, right?
Nice. And yeah, besides obviously that was a big moment in your life. What else has been going on? Any other big moments? Have you landed on your feet like a
Oh
cat?
yeah.
That's how I kind of view you. Nick
Yeah, I
lands
landed
on
on
his
my
feet
feet.
like
I,
a
I
cat.
found I found a role. It's going well. I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, and we got engaged. So it's been busy. Lots of stuff going on in the personal life. I've also started my own broadcasting company with a partner of mine doing
Seen that.
local elite sports. So we've done a couple hockey games in the area, a couple football championships, which was really cool. So I mean, I found ways to still stay in and around sports without being in sport. Not to mention, I also play hockey twice a week, some weeks, and once a week, most weeks. And I recently started a trial for a potential soccer team this summer. So,
Cool.
lots going
Any
on.
uh any name drops? What team?
I don't want to say
PSG?
anything until I make it.
CFC, Real Madrid, Barca, which one?
Slightly lower than that, but no, it's a couple guys that I used to
York?
play with. They're currently on the squad, and They said, "Hey, like we'd love to have you out." Went for a trial last weekend. I learned that my cardio needs a lot of work. That hurt.
Didn't you didn't you learn that last year when you tried out
I
for
learned
York
that
United?
last year, but like training and games are two different things, and you can attest to that. Training and games are two very different things. And
I can't.
learning 45 minutes playing against my trial game was against the League One Burlington side. It's like, yeah, that's not fair. But no, it was
It's not
good.
fair. Not fair for Burlington.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish, but it was nice. Like I got out on the pitch again for the first time in years, like a competitive game situation. It was really fun. So I'm hoping to potentially do that all summer and keep the good vibes going when it comes to footy.
Oh, love that. Love that for you. Happy to hear.
Yeah, man. And what about you? You had like a crazy off season. Like you went from one team to potentially three teams to potentially two teams again, and then now you're in Vancouver. Kind of like walk me through what what happened in the last 6 months for you.
6 months. Well, I don't think it was 6 months. Last game was probably end of October for me. And
And we're in
yeah, a
April.
bit of a, is that 6 months?
That's 6 months.
No, it's not.
November, December, January, February, March, April.
Damn. 6 months. Has it been that long? I guess because I've been here for about a month. And off season really in the CPL, it doesn't really start until December. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, crazy off season for me. Um, yeah, what do you want to know?
Well, I mean, like let's talk about the end of the season because York going through the change of ownership and everything. There was a lot of pressure on this offseason for them. How were the conversations kind of going with them, and how did you end up kind of, I guess, maybe falling out with the vision of the new owners?
I wouldn't say it was a falling out, but I mean, basically, we were speaking, we had good conversations. I liked what I was hearing from the ownership. But then, as it came down, we went back and forth, multiple times, and we couldn't come to an agreement. And yeah, from when I felt like we couldn't come to an agreement, I kind of made the decision that I was going to go to Calgary, and that's what I did in January. Is
Yeah,
when I
and
went over to Calgary.
I saw that you were training with Cavs, and how was that? Like, was it kind of like a homecoming, sort of a homecoming away from
Uh,
home? I guess.
well, it was good. I mean, when I made the decision to go and join Cavs in preseason, I kind of knew what I was doing and what environment I was getting myself into. And yeah, when I was there, I enjoyed it. Good group of boys there. I like the environment that Tommy has built there, and I was really enjoying my time out there with Cavs.
And then you go from Cavs to rumors of you potentially going to like one of the Scandinavian countries for a while there. I saw rumors of that flying all over. And then you have those rumors going, and somehow all of a sudden you pop up with Vancouver. What happened between Cavs and that Vancouver trial?
well, retirement happened for one reason or another. Things didn't work out at Cavs, um, and I flew back to Toronto. Then basically, like, all right, well, there's really nothing on the table. I'm still in shape. I still feel sharp, but life is coming at you. You gotta make some decisions, and at that point there was no opportunities there. So essentially, I was looking for other work. I went back to Toronto, and I was trying to figure out what my next career was going to be. So retirement is what happened.
So you talk about what your next career could have been. I'll get to the Vancouver side in a bit. I just want to kind of follow up on that. Like, what did you explore? Like, what did you kind of realize about what you might want to do post soccer? I know that's now down the line because you have a contract. Like, that's not even probably front of mind at the moment, but you obviously looked into it. You thought about it. So what kind of did you realize about yourself?
Oof, deep question. Well, put it this way, there was the flight home from Calgary to Toronto is about 3.5, 4 hours, and in that time, I have a little brown book that I put notes in, and I was just writing a bunch of ideas. It's like, all right, like I need a new job. What's my new job going to be? And pages and pages of different ideas. And as I was thinking about all these things, I kind of felt like it sucks that playing didn't really pan out the way I thought it was gonna do, especially during this off season. But I felt like I really wanted to still be involved in the game. I love soccer. I love Canada soccer. So I wanted to be involved in it in some way. So I just started poking around. I made too many phone calls, a lot of phone calls. There's probably a lot of people in the Canada soccer world that are annoyed of seeing my name pop up on their phone, but from all aspects in management, sports management side of the game, the media side of the game, coaching side of the game. I'm probably missing a lot. So I was just calling and texting everyone that I knew that was involved in those industries in soccer and just trying to pick their brain, try to have a coffee with them, trying to have a beer with them, and try to see if I can navigate my way into finding a career in soccer. And that's kind of what I was doing for about a month. But again, you kind of see where Canada soccer is at, and it from the outside I thought it was going to be a lot simpler to maybe get a career within the soccer world. And then not that it was so incredibly difficult, but finding the right fit for me, I was finding difficulties with. So I started realizing, oh, it's going to be a bit more difficult finding something concrete. So then I started looking outside of soccer, even spoke to police officers. Being a police officer is something I always wanted to get into. I was probably about a week away from handing in my resume to the police academy and seeing if I could get in and starting that whole new career. So yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff went through it. I became essentially a professional poker player as well in January. I mean, the checks
hold on. What? A professional poker player? Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's serious. Well, I mean, let me put it in this way. January 1, the checks from York FC stopped coming.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was essentially signed to EIFC. A lot of CPL players will know what that team is like. They don't pay as well as the other CPL teams, but I was signed to EIFC. So I figured, I still need to make some income, and I've always had poker in my back pocket as something I've leaned on when I needed a bit of extra.
It's true.
Bit of
I
extra
can
cash.
attest to that.
And I basically committed to doing poker from January to essentially March, and I mean that was covering that was giving me a better in those 3 months. It was a better income than what CPL was for those 3 months. So I was fortunate enough to have success on the felt.
Wow, that's impressive. That's a weird transition, but a very impressive one at the same time. So you
Hustler's mentality.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So you do the poker stuff. You kind of realize that you're still trying to find a way to stay involved in soccer without necessarily being in Canadian soccer or Canada soccer or those kind of levels. What did you kind of find out a little bit more as you did some more digging?
I felt like the game in Canada is growing, and there's still a lot of improvement that is going to happen. I've confidence that it's going to happen, but it's going to be a process to get there. So that's kind of what I found most. And what I kind of was going to is I still want to be involved. So I was gonna kind of get stuck into some like youth coaching at like the youth level. And I was basically committed to signing in League One Ontario with Scorsapi. We had a good deal in place.
Nice.
Shout out to them. They were going to take care of me and help
Finalists
set me
last
up.
year on the men's side, so it's a strong club.
Good club, ambitious club, and yeah, and they were willing to invest in me as well. So that was kind of going to be my plan. I was going to be a youth coach. I was going to play League One Ontario, I was going to try to do media because I do have that passion, for soccer media, um, and continue to play poker. That was going to be my plan that was my 6 month plan.
Yeah, that was your short term answer to the situation,
Correct.
right? So then through all that, all of a sudden, I guess Vancouver comes knocking, or did you or your agent reach out to Vancouver? How did that kind of all happen? And now you're out on the West Coast, dude.
Yeah, all really fast. Essentially, one conversation with Paris G, former teammate. Now he's out here. Um, got on a call with Jeevan, who's like the soccer ops guy here.
Yep.
Um, and within a week or so, I was flying down into Vancouver and with agreed on terms, but kind of like on trial, see how I like it and see how they like me. And yeah, since I've been here, I flew over here end of March, and I haven't. I've been here since. So
Yeah, and I mean,
got the deal across the line.
yeah, and that squad's looking good so far, 2 games in. So I mean, it's probably not a bad situation to be entering into.
No, I mean, as my chaotic off season was going, I was obviously watching everything. How the
Yeah.
teams were building and stuff like that. And for me, and even conversations I was having with buddies in the league, a lot of the players in the league agreed that Vancouver was building a great squad. Uh, they had a good mix of veteran presence and youth. But what I really loved about how they were building the team is how they were grabbing local guys
Yeah.
coming back, playing for Vancouver. I think they have a total of 12 guys that are from this area. Um, so I love that. And yeah, the opportunity to join a club and a group like that, owned by a guy like Rob Friend,
Yep.
who is all in Canada soccer, which I love. And then you got a head coach like Afshin, who's has all this experience. You got a good group of guys, a lot of them that I know. And then a goalkeeper coach like Mark Village, where I really felt like I could learn, and he understands what it's like to be in the CPL because he was in it.
Yep.
You can't really teach that to anyone. No one knows what we're going through besides the players. So yeah, I was just excited about the opportunity, and thank God it worked out.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the highlight right there is thank God it worked out. But you talk about just like the sell job that some teams need to do, right? Like it's a lot harder for certain places, certain teams to sell a player on the situation. Vancouver's right now, it looks like it's working really well because they're getting a lot of top players that are just coming over. Like, I mean, I think Paris G is a top player, one of the more underrated players in the league just because he kind of can do everything and you know what you're getting from him game to game. They bring in players like you to add to the depth. Like, that's something that a lot of clubs could look into. And I'm thinking more like the Yorks and the Valors who haven't had so much success over the last 5 years. Those are the kind of things that you look at. But you talked about looking at the media side and looking into how the game is covered here in Canada as well. What did you kind of realize about media? I mean, we're technically media doing this. Like you and me have
Yeah.
become media members unofficially now that because we've had such a long hiatus, but we're back doing this. So for today at least, we're media members. What did you kind of realize about the coverage of Canada soccer?
I think
Or
there's a lot of
soccer
people
in
that are.
Canada, I should say. Soccer in Canada.
I think there's a lot of people that are covering the game, and they're doing a great job. But throughout that whole like 2 months, 2.5 months, I was I was silent. I got plenty of people reaching out if I want to make a comment or asking me about my situation, and I just kept quiet. I didn't want to put the business out there. But I was reading everything and seeing everything and, you know, seeing what's out there. And what I came to the conclusion is there's so much information out there, but the players don't have a voice. Everyone is commenting and creating a narrative about what they think is happening. And a lot of the stuff that I was reading was just not true.
Okay, I'm going to
Simply,
follow up with that. did you ever have people reaching out from these Scandinavian countries? Because that was a big rumor about you this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, there was clubs that were interested yeah, there was clubs that were interested in me from Scandinavia. I think Finland was one of the countries.
Okay. I was just curious because that was
But
one thing I didn't get a
but
chance to talk to you about while you were going through everything. So,
yeah, no, I mean, it was there again. It was just something I didn't. Yeah, for one reason or another, it didn't pan out. But
uh,
yeah, I realize that the players don't have a voice. A lot of people are talking about player movement and what's happening and this is happening this, but what I was reading, especially about my situation, I just felt was untrue, and which kind of got me thinking. I wanted to be involved in media because I feel like the players deserve to kind of have a platform and have a voice, and nobody knows this league better than the players.
right.
Maybe the owners do, but under them, the players know the ins and out of this league. I'm more particular talking about the CPL here, Canada Soccer. I don't know what's going on in the national team
Of
as well
course.
as Alfonso Davies, but those guys that are on the national team, those players, they know.
I know.
And there's tons of speculation that's always going on about the players and these teams, and yeah,
It's
that's the biggest thing that I came out of it. A lot of people talking about us, but a lot of misinformation going out there, and it's a bit of a disservice at times.
Yeah. And I wonder because, like, as a media member myself, I'm a former youth player. I know the game well, but I'm a media member when it comes down to it. It's tough, I guess, for from this side because sometimes players just don't want to talk, right? So you get that kind of in between where you're trying to cover the game as best you can, but you're not getting answers from the guys that you need answers from to cover the game that you love so much. And then you get the former players who are great analysts. I can name off a bunch. I'm not going to, but I could name off a bunch that are currently covering the game, and like they have past experience as players, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very important to have that in the media market, but they have no idea what you guys are going through now, right? Like, let's talk. I'll use an example. Like one name I'll drop: Craig Forrest, right? Unbelievable player. I love Craig, and I think his analysis is very, very good. But Craig has no idea what you're going through as a goalie in the CPL. Do we agree to that?
Well, I mean, he was on the broadcast of the game I was watching last night, and he was doing great insight on goalkeeping.
Yes.
But are you saying more like the day to day stuff?
The day-to-day stuff. He doesn't know how the league really operates day to day. He knows how keepers work, and that's why I think he's such a great asset to the One Soccer coverage. Right? I think he's a great analyst, but no former player from before the CPL exists can talk about how it is to be a CPL player. Like Craig Forrest was making way more money than you guys were, right? Like in comparison, he was playing in England. He was doing all this stuff, right? It's a different day-to-day life.
Oh yeah, I could guarantee the England Premier League is different than the Canadian Premier League
Yes.
day to day. Yes,
Yeah.
confirmed. I can confirm that.
Right? But like I think they need to find a way to get players more involved in the coverage, right? And it's hard. It's not all players want to talk. Can we agree to that? You know most of the players in the league well enough. They don't all want to talk every day. And that's fine. No one should be expected to talk every day. But there should be a way to get players more involved in the conversations that we're having on these shows, like on podcasts, on like TV shows, whatever, about the league. And it's tough. I don't know how to do
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
but
I guess the hope is always, and I know a lot of the guys, especially some of the older guys in the league, the hope was, if we were, the founding fathers of this league and we were here at the beginning, the hope was that, we do the hard time at the beginning. And then when the league does take off and it does grow and it's this, amazing, lucrative business, that, we get rewarded with, jobs and opportunities after our playing careers are done. I don't know if the league and Canada Soccer is at that yet, and that maybe that's kind of what I was figuring out during this off season. But the hope is that it can get to that point. I mean, no different. You look at the guys who are playing in the MLS. The first few years, look where they are now. I'm sure a lot of them are sitting in, great executive positions within the league, within clubs, and they're helping continue grow the MLS to what it is now. So you got to think big picture that's the goal for Canada Soccer and CPL.
And we have seen at least one example of a player transition into that kind of media coverage of the league, Jordan Wilson, right? And he made that transition kind of quickly. Like I don't think he was fully ready for it when it happened, but he's done a great job on One Soccer helping cover the league. So hopefully we can see more of that to help with the conversations that we're talking about, right? Like getting players involved in the coverage, getting players involved in higher positions. That's what the next steps are for after playing careers at this point in the CPL.
Yeah, I also learned that the league needs just more promotion. More people need
Yes.
to know about it. More people need to hear about it. And One Soccer is doing a great job. The league, their website is doing a great job, but there needs to be more. Still, so many people aren't aware of what this league is. I mean, from my experience at York, I was walking around New York region plenty of times, and what do you do? Oh, I'm a professional soccer player. Oh, what team? York United. Who? You know, I got owl syndrome the whole time. York United.
Yep.
Who? 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 So I think the more promoting that this league can have, the better. And which kind of leads into what sparked this idea and drove this passion for me. It's like, okay, I'm still a player. Crazy off season, but whatever, it's over. I'm back still being a player. But what I want to do is, continue to promote this league and as best as use my platform as best as I can and keep pushing this game because that's also what I learned, Nick, to be honest, is I'm a fan of this league. I'm a player in it, but like I'm a fan. I want this league to be successful more than a lot of people, more than people even involved in this league right now. So I'm going to continue to try to do my part as best as I can to promote this league.
And I'm 100% on board with that. This is a league that it's the brainchild of so many players before us, and so many players after us are going to get the benefit of it, right? Like when you're 10 years down the line, when you have retired and you and me are just talking about the game that we love, there's going to be players benefiting from this league. And we know that. That's what this importance of this league is. This isn't just for fun. Like this actually means something for Canada soccer. It means something for the sport in this country.
We have 16-year-olds right here in Vancouver right now, playing in this team right now. And I'm just looking at them like, dude, like Grady, one of the guys, Grady, 16, 17 years old. I don't know how old he is. I'm just like, Grady, I can't wait for in 10 years just to see you and you're playing and you're pulling up in like a Porsche Cayenne and, you're rolling in cash. And don't forget guys like us, that paved the way.
Don't
for you.
forget the
Yeah,
groundwork guys. Those are the guys that are important for this league for you.
But the league is going to be at that point. And yeah, so I agree with you there.
Yeah. And I mean, we talked about it when we started the show, almost 2 years ago now? I think it's 2 years ago, almost to the day that we started the show. That's what this league is. It's a way to connect the community levels to the professional levels in a way that's never been available to this country. Like, yes, TFC, Montreal, Vancouver in the MLS, they do their best to do community stuff, but a lot of the stuff that they do is academy-based, and the academies are very, very small in their reach, unfortunately, just how it is. Adding 8 more teams like that, the community's so much bigger all of a sudden. We keep growing. There's talk about expansion everywhere. League One all of a sudden becomes more important. Everything grows based off how successful this league is, I think.
And I'm glad you touched on like the community. And, like I said, I was kind of deep in the media world, seeing what's out there, seeing what's been written. I don't know if you ever come across Discord, but there is crazy fans out there that are so invested in this league. And that's what I was seeing. And it's something I didn't know was going on. But so that's like kind of proven like there is people that are a fan of this league, that it's not just me. There is a group. They might be small numbers in retrospect, but there is people there. So that's another thing that I feel like I realize is this league, sorry, I was almost knock over my glass and shatter everything here. This league, it's sure it's for the players, but it's so much for the fans as well.
Yes,
Like the
yes,
fans love the league. They love their teams. You go to Ottawa, you go to Calgary, these people are screaming, stomping their feet. Like there is a passion there and you love to see it. And it's like this league is for them. Um, and again, when I feel like the fans who and they read every article, they read every tweet, they dive into everything. It's like my hope is that they're reading the correct information and they're well
yes.
educated to what actually is going on. And again, yeah, giving the fans a platform. I almost feel like they need a platform as well, just to continue to help grow because they're going to play a big part in growing the game in this country.
I agree 100%. And when it comes down to it, this league is so much more accessible than the MLS is, just from a pure cost of ticket standpoint, that it makes it even more accessible for people to get out with their kids, to get out with these young soccer fans, get out with the older soccer fans, people who don't have the opportunity. Let's go outside of the Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver areas. We have a team on the island out west. We have Halifax. We have Ottawa. We have Hamilton. We have Winnipeg. Like, these are places that needed a team to cheer for in soccer in this country that never had it before. And now they do, and they have the ability to go out. And we're seeing fans go in droves outside of a couple teams, most of the time, fans are coming out in droves to watch their club. And it's such a great thing to see. And I go to the games as much as I can. I get to see the atmosphere. You get to talk to people. They love this. Think about the first year when this league started. The fan bases in Calgary, Halifax, Hamilton. The supporters groups were made before the team even played a single minute. Right? Mm-hmm. We're talking Barton Street Battalion. Like, these guys already had a supporters group ready to go. That's how much they were dying for professional soccer in these cities. And now we have it, and we just need to make sure the coverage is proper so that everyone is getting the right information so that they can cheer properly for the information. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. Just giving them as much insight as they can just so they could continue enjoying the game.
Exactly. And like, I love this sport. I love this game. I'm a huge fan myself. I've played it at a high level. This sport means so much to me. And to have this opportunity to follow young professional Canadians, right? At the beginnings of their career, at the middles of their career, sometimes at the ends of their career, right? Come together and form this Canadian league where we get to see Canadian talent is so important. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, Niko, yeah, pretty much. I really love talking to you about this stuff, man. This is great, and I really did miss it while we were off. But I have a couple more questions for you before we announce some stuff later. So let's get back into talking about you again. I know you hate doing that.
Yeah.
You went through a whole lot this offseason, and I want to get more into what you kind of dealt with when it comes to dealing with different teams and kind of going through the talks and everything. Go a little bit behind the scenes, you know what I mean? So as you're talking with the York United guys, you're working with your agent, trying to get everything sorted. How was the communication lines between maybe you and the owner, you and your agent and the owner? Was everything kind of smooth? And you can talk about any of the teams. I don't know why I've just said York, but you can talk about any of the teams you were kind of working with, because it's a tough situation. I just was kind of wanting to peel back the curtain a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way. I mean, it is negotiations, so I mean, I got a real lesson in soccer as a business. That's kind of what I saw there. The communication wasn't poor by any means. To be honest, my agent, it was when dealing with York, it was me. It was me speaking to Nash. It was me speaking to the owners. Again, we just couldn't come to an agreement. And at the end of the day, I made the decision to, pass on that and try my luck elsewhere. And at that time, it was go to Calgary.
Hold on, I lost you there for a second. Can you keep talking for me?
I said communication was good, passed, but then I made the decision to go to Calgary. So the communication with York, I can't say it was poor. I mean, we were speaking pretty often. I mean, I was talking to Nashi more than I was talking to my girlfriend or my mom.
Well,
So
that's a different issue altogether.
yeah, a lot of conversations going back and forth there. So I couldn't say the communication was poor. We just couldn't come to an agreement.
Which is fair. I mean, it happens. It's professional sports, right? We know sometimes guys want to stay in a place, but it just doesn't work. And then you kind of go around and you start seeing these stories that, hey, you're trialing at Cavs. Hey, you get interest from kind of all over. Then you message me immediately after that, by the way, and accused me of leaking stuff that I didn't even know, which I thought was hilarious, by the way.
But you just never know. When
I
you
know,
go
but I
into
didn't know
negotiations,
anything.
I know you don't. I didn't trust anyone. Felt like anyone was willing to stab me in the back at that point.
That's, I guess, but I just thought it was funny because like we had just talked once in the past like month at that point, and then you're like, did you leak something? I didn't even know this was happening. How could I possibly have leaked it?
What are you referring to? Are you talking about Cavs? Or are you talking about the Finn?
The
The
one in
free.
Europe.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I think it was like One Soccer that leaked that, but I don't know. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought it was funny because like the way our relationship works is that like I don't do digging into you. Like I know at some point you're gonna tell me what's going on. I'm not too worried, so I just thought it was funny, like out of nowhere. Hey, did you do this? No, I didn't.
No, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, your original question was about communication, and communication with York was good. Again, I went to Cavs. Communication was good there, and for
Didn't
one
work out.
reason or another, yeah, yeah. Again, it didn't work out. That was a bit of a shock to me, but that's the game.
Is what it is. All right. Well, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I really am. And I don't know about you, but I would love to continue this. So do you want to do the honors?
No,
Are you
I want
sure?
you to do the honors.
All right, folks. I kind of wanted to tease it earlier, but here it is. We're back. We are back. And it might not be every week. We're going to do as best we can to try to get as many episodes out as we can, but Footy First is back. Me and Niko have been pushing to try to do this since our last episode, and it's been a while, and it's been a lot of behind the scenes work to try to make this thing happen, and it hasn't been easy. I will say that we've gone through a lot of little things to try to make sure that we could do this. But I'm so excited to be back talking footy, getting to talk with you every week. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to hopefully cover the game and do justice to the league that is, because I think it's really important for us to do exactly that. What about you?
Yeah, no, exactly. I love how I think we're going to have a bit more freedom now to with our own platform. It's a bit more independent. Yeah, there's so many ways that you could cover sports. And the best thing about sports is they're always creating new storylines. You don't need to fabricate things naturally in competitive sports. They just come. So being able to talk about it and cover it in unique ways is something I think I have a passion for, and I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I like doing this with you, Nick. For anyone listening, Nick is the brains behind this operation. He's able to do all the techie stuff that I just can't do. You see this thing underneath me right here that says "Footy First is back." Essentially, that's like magic. I am not able to do that. Nick is the guy that's able to do it. So I think we're a great team in that aspect. I think we could talk well, but technologically, if that's a word, that's how we complement each other well. And yeah, it's we got a great team here, and yeah, sky's the limit for Footy First, and so many different options to go about things, and I'm excited as well, Nick.
And it feels so good to say the words "Footy First is back." Like we've been really trying. Like I know some people just say that and they're not actually honest about it. For anyone who knows us, this is something we have literally been trying to do since the last episode, pushing and pushing and pushing, having conversations back and forth for the last I guess it's almost 10 months now that we've been going back and forth trying to get this sorted. Now we're here. Now we're back. First episode. We're hoping to do it Wednesday, barring any scheduling conflicts or personal things that come up. Wednesday, make sure you tune in live on YouTube. We will be doing these episodes live video cast. You can tune in, join the chat, join us anytime you want. It's going to be a lot of fun. Niko, I can't wait to get this off the ground again. Talk actual soccer as opposed to our lives.
This is how much I love soccer. I just went into my pocket here and I have a Christine St. Clair player card
Sounds about right.
in here. So I live this game. I live Canada soccer. I'm the most passionate about that. You know, England soccer, all that stuff's cool. But you ask me what my team is, it's Canadian teams. So
yeah, well, I mean, what your team is right now is Vancouver FC.
The team I support is the team that pays my bills. So I bleed black and gray. Is that our colors here? Black
and pink.
And gray. That's for the kit, cherry blossom. It's very Vancouver-esque. You're an East Coast guy. You don't really know what it's like out here on the West Coast like me.
Dude, I know how big it is out there. It's massive, man. Like, see some of these teams down in the States with, like, we saw the MLB teams trying to do some cool things like that with their City Connect uniforms. And I know Washington did, like, a cherry blossom one, but that's because they have a ton there. But I know how big it is on the West Coast. Like, that kit is one of my favorite kits ever. Like, they did such a good job. I will say Macron this year, sorry, this is totally off topic what we were talking about, but Macron this year has nailed their kits. They've done such a good job pretty much with every single team.
No, all the kits are shit. Vancouver's are the best kits. We got a fucking eagle flying in to things. This is the club to be at. I'm excited to be here. Let's talk Canada soccer. And we're going to be back. I don't know how many people are listening right now, but we'll see you soon. Get used to seeing this face. Get used to seeing Nick's face. And hopefully hear from a lot of other players and within the league and just giving them a voice. There's going to be topics in Canada soccer that always pop up, not just about CPL. You know, there's all the nonsense that's going on the media side, the business side. You hear everyone talk about it. I'm looking forward to giving players a platform for them to speak on what they think of what all the news that's going on.
Yeah.
So,
and it's going to be a fun summer. We got CPL action, we got MLS action, we got Canada's men's team playing in a bunch of high-profile friendlies. We got the Copa America, we got the women's team playing in the Olympics. There's so much going on in Canada soccer.
Project 8.
I was going to say, not to mention next year, Project 8. Like, there's so much going on. We are coming back at the right time, and I am so excited for this.
Agreed. All right, wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up. Well, folks, as I said, we are back, and we will be back on Wednesday. So make sure you tune in then. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, as well as TikTok for more content. We're going to hopefully be posting a lot more now that we're, back. Makes it a little bit easier to post. So make sure you follow all that. We'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you for listening. See you then.